All right, so this video actually came because of something that Ryan, aka that boy Wolf, in the Saints Block Party podcast Discord, kind of posited, and my over analytical rear end decided, it's 8:45 at night. Let's make a video. So this is going to be part one of a two-part video, and what we're really going to be talking about here is, as you tell from the screen, how to prioritize attributes when you're looking at a prospect or even pros like X quarterback is better than Y quarterback. Like it's a lot deeper than stats. There's actually a lot of stats that you can look at and say this guy's better than that guy, and if you really know what you're looking for, it's like that's not even close because of context, coaching, play calling, supporting cast, and also opponent who you're playing. If you're playing, you know a bunch of really tough defenses, you're probably going to put up worse numbers than someone playing, like the Panthers and the Saints every week or things like that. And all of that context should be a part of analysis. It isn't always, but it should be. But for this video, I really just want to talk high level about the two buckets you see on screen. So these are all the different attributes that Ryan brought up. And I kind of want to take a minute and talk about, or a few minutes, why I have them in these two buckets and why they're in those buckets. And then there's going to be a part two. And in part two, we're really going to get more in depth into how these things relate to each other and how you weigh them against each other. So the first bucket is the must haves. So the must have group, by the nature of the category, are the things if a quarterback prospect or again a pro, because you can analyze pros as well, if they don't have these things, they cannot succeed. They will not succeed. They cannot and will not. You cannot be football dumb. You don't confuse like articulation with intelligence or knowledge. Lots of guys don't necessarily sound articulate in an interview, but you put them in a film room or you put them on a whiteboard and they sound like they have a PhD in football. Well, we're talking football, so I don't care if you can quote Shakespeare. I care if when you talk football, you sound like Shakespeare. Um, Football IQ is the single most fundamental component of playing the quarterback position. The parallel to another sport would be, the traditional idea of a point guard. And even if it's not like literally the one guard, like in today's more positionless game, the point guard, it doesn't necessarily have to be the small guy, but it is the person running the offense. Same thing in football, but to an even greater degree. It's the person running the offense. It's 11 on 11. It's highly variable. There's multiple moving parts, and all of the decisions you're making are conditional. If you cannot read and react to those conditions in what is, in most cases, fractions of a second, and a lot of those decisions are made before the ball is even snapped, even if the head coach or the offensive coordinator is literally giving you the answers to the test. Hey, this is read one. They're in your headset going, they're in this defense, throw it here. You still have to make a lot of micro reads and decisions in a very short period of time. And even in like that circumstance I just pointed out, and Jared Goff in the Super Bowl several years ago is a great example of this. At that time, was not a high football IQ guy, like as far as the way he played on the field. Maybe in the classroom and in practice, he was a savant, but on the field, couldn't read things, couldn't make decisions, couldn't react. Good defense will eat him alive. Um, That's why it's number one. It is the most foundational thing for the person who's running the offense. And let's be clear on this. Everything, and especially in this video, but in the whole exercise in general, is predicated on what is a quarterback. The quarterback is the central hub through which your offense flows. Whether you're a run first team, a run second team, a pass first team, a mix of those things, a dynamic offense, the quarterback touches the ball more than any player other than the center. The center is the only player in the game who touches the ball more than the quarterback. That's it. They handle the ball the most, they make the most decisions, the most weight is put upon them, and they need to be able to make the correct decisions at the correct time. Without the understanding of the game to do that, everything else falls apart. You can have the most talented quarterback ever. If they're a dummy, they're done. The second component to that is, and it is a follow up to football IQ. First, you have to have the capacity, the understanding, the base knowledge, etc. Then processing, film study, and that knowledge component all come together. So that is another central thing. No one goes out there, doesn't understand the game, doesn't do film study, and doesn't work hard, but still succeeds. Even Brett Favre, who notoriously didn't know what dime coverage was for years. Oh, he's an idiot. Well, yes, but Brett had a very high football IQ. He might not know what things are called, but he goes, "Oh, you're lined up this way. Guy's going to be there." He had a bunch of other attributes: throw ball to right place. He had a lot of success. He was he's a very stupid person. He's not football stupid. He also clearly did work in the film room. Um, and you can go to any great quarterback. They're putting in the work in the film room because that's how you take advantage of that football IQ, the just basic understandings of the game, coverages, leverages, etc. That becomes knowledge. That understanding, that baseline, through the application of effort in the film room, becomes knowledge. And then processing is the application of that knowledge. So those three I kind of put in a single group because if you have one without the other two, it still isn't really going to get you there. If you want to have success, you need to have all three because the knowledge is, again, taking that foundation of football IQ, film study, creating the knowledge, and then the processing is the ability to actually apply it in real time. Lots of people are good at taking tests with no timer, but go ahead and try to answer 100 questions correctly in 3 minutes, and you'll find out just how well and how quickly you process. That's what playing quarterback is like. And so there is a difference between the intellectual, conceptual understanding of the game and then the ability to actually apply that in real life in real time. The final element here, and it's been alluded to a little bit, but leadership slash work ethic, which I mean, you could really just bundle that together into character or intangibles. You know, pick your vernacular. It all means the same thing. By the nature of the position, the quarterback is the leader of the offense. By the nature of importance, quarterbacks are typically the leader of the team. Not always, but typically the leader of the team. They're certainly the most impactful position. Work ethic matters a ton because you have the biggest workload. That processing component, the fact that you touch the ball the most, fact that the success of so many others depends on your ability to do your job, even if it's just doing the basics, it still determines whether or not you're going to be able to accomplish those things. So those are your must-haves. Now the variables, which again, we're going to get into the variables component in part two, because this is where we're really going to talk about the nitty gritty, the conditionals, the relationship between these things. Because you've probably seen I mean, most of us have seen some version of well, build your perfect quarterback. I want this guy's feet and this guy's arm strength and this guy's IQ and this guy's this. Build your perfect quarterback. The reality is the perfect quarterback doesn't exist. We've had some incredibly talented ones, and some of them have been great players, and some of those incredibly talented quarterbacks fizzled out or were even busts. Many of them because they lacked one of or all of these things. Um, these things right here on the left. The variables is where it differentiates from prospect to prospect. And some variables will offset others. So, video two, which will come out shortly after this first one, will really get into how those variables relate to each other. And I'm going to go down a rabbit hole and nerd out and have fun. But all of this is predicated on the assumption that they have a good foundational knowledge and understanding of football. They have the ability to apply that knowledge, which builds and grows by doing film study, and having the work ethic to do that film study into the ability to process on the field and the character attributes that lead to being a good leader. There are many different styles of leadership, but leadership is leadership. The ability to galvanize and take disparate components, bring them into a cohesive whole, and execute towards a common goal. That's leadership. Guys who go out in interviews and say a bunch of platitudes and say a bunch of BS and then go throw other people under the bus or blame other people for their problems or make a million excuses why things aren't their fault, not leaders. Not a leadership. That's not one of the styles of leadership. Period. Derek Harp. But that's it for this video. I'm going to save all of the fun, nerdy rabbit hole bits for the second video. Hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. And if you didn't like it, you should still like, comment, and send it to your friends so they can suffer too. Hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll be right back with part 2.